Storm. Getting closer and closer to finishing this line. I now have X-Men 97 Storm, so that means that at this point I have Magneto, Wolverine, Storm, Gambit. I want to say I ordered Bishop, but he's still not here. He hasn't arrived yet. And Rogue is becoming a bit of a problem. I put off buying Rogue because I already have the best Rogue. And the idea that this Rogue on the way could be better, I don't know. The reviews that I've seen make me feel like I've still got the best Rogue. However, even if this is slightly delving into double dip territory, I do want the other Rogue. Right now her price is up. She's hard to find. She's not appearing on pre-orders that feel like she's going to be showing up. You get the idea, like you pre-order and you're going to wait forever. I'm half tempted. I found her for like $38 on like Amazon, and I'm half tempted to just go ahead and do it. Yes, it is overpaying, but in this circumstance, I do want this entire line. And I knew that from the beginning. I should have just got the line. But I put it off because there was 2 or 3 other things that I was gunning for at the same time. Hey, this is the collecting life, guys. If you have not been collecting for a while, like you just kind of got into this, or you haven't really started, or you only collect like one thing, then maybe this doesn't hit you the same way. But for me, I want the Super 7 Ultimate Ninja Turtles. It's expensive. $60 a figure, basically. You can look for deals, but it's basically $60 a figure. I want the X-Men 97 line. I want a bunch of these Marvel figures and whatnot. I want that really good Black Widow. I want He-Man figures. I'm done with Power Rangers, and I did an entire video talking about how I'm done with Ghostbusters. So like I finished my Ghostbusters collection. I've got it where I want it to be. But then I have like Freddy Krueger. But I would like a really good Jason Voorhees to go with him. And if I'm going for the slasher trifecta of the stuff that I grew up with, I'm going to need Michael Myers. Which ones do I get? I don't know. I got the Freddy Krueger that I want. That's 2 figures that I'm still behind on. That's about $40 a piece right there. It adds up. And that's not including things like buying little offshoot things like I love Goombas. Hey, that Mario line, I've been buying that. Every time I put $20 into something, it's $20 I can't spend somewhere else. The argument would be prioritizing. And maybe I should have prioritized these when they were all $25 and I could have just sweeped them. Bam! $150 whole line. It's a lot of money. It is. $150 is a lot of money. But it was one of the few times that an entire line came out that I wanted. It doesn't happen with me very often. I cherry pick a lot of figures. A lot of them. For the most part, that's the most common thing I do is cherry pick my figures. I get the ones I like. There's no reason to put anything on this shelf that doesn't specifically speak to me. Anything. I don't need all the Ninja Turtle figures. I need the ones I care about. I don't need all the Ghostbuster figures ever. I need ones that I care about. So on and so forth. You can keep this argument going forever. Which is one of the things that led me to buying up different things randomly instead of putting the money down in one hit to get these. I want that Rogue. Because I feel like if I'm going to do some photos with them, I want the 97 line to be all the same cartoon style. I don't think that's too much to ask. Anyways, there's not really much to talk about box-wise. This is the card back that we saw with the other figure. So if you're interested at all, I've already covered Gambit and I've covered Wolverine. On those videos I talked about the card. Let's just open her and get to it, shall we? Okay, Storm. So, let's check out Storm, shall we? First off, let's look at that face, okay? Let's get a good bead on her. I like that face. It's not my favorite Storm face. I will say, I like it. I think it makes sense. I think it works for the character. I love these earrings right here. And I love this mohawk. This is cool. This is a 1980s mohawk with the tail thing. I really like that a lot, actually. I'm a big fan of it. I like the 80s Storm, so that's cool. It does offer a problem. She can't really look up, even though she kind of can. And it took away a lot of her movement, but it is cool nonetheless. She does have the thigh movement, which you know I like. She's got the knees, which you know I like. She cannot kick her own butt. Her thighs actually get in the way of her kicking her own butt. She does not have... That shocks me. That's 2 figures in a row now that I've been over that are fairly new, I thought, or new enough to have the elbow joints. Am I imagining that the elbow joints are like any kind of common in Marvel Legends? Are they rare? I don't know. That's wild to me that that's twice now that's happened. Huh. Anyways, she's got some soft goods here with this. Her costume is very reminiscent of the costume that I remember, but just new enough to catch some attention, in all honesty, which I like as well because I don't need a full-on repeat. If 97 did exact same costumes, I don't know how thrilled I would be. They have my favorite Wolverine costume, which is solid. They have Gambit, which I really don't think... He hit the ground running. But I don't mind some subtle changes in her design. I think it's actually fine. We can do the T-pose here, it looks like. It looks like it's a little rough. I guess that was just a little bit of a stick, though, to be fair. Okay. I'm going to pull this hand, because in truth, if I'm going to do this, I want these hands. Which takes me to one of the comments here. She has punching hands. Punchy, punchy. And then she has style hands, like using powers hands. As far as I'm concerned, that's what these are, right? Maybe not. Maybe you think differently. But I feel like those are using my powers hands or whatever. Which is cool. Which then brings us to this cape, which I need to fix that. Now that I just noticed that. There we go. We're going to do this here. And then put that hand back on there and there. Now it should be right. I don't mind this soft goods cape. I think it could be better, but I don't hate it necessarily. It's okay. This is something I don't like. This, I noticed immediately. Let's turn the head. There's like a little... These are like very loose. And then there's like a little piece of like plastic that holds this cape on. And it almost makes me wish that this cape had just almost been fastened here. I mean, maybe it's good that it's not, because it means that if these things do break or whatever, then she's not completely ruined. But, like, not a big fan of these shoulder things the way they did them, because it feels loose, it feels cheap, and it feels like it's going to break at some point in time. Almost no matter what you do, it feels cheap. I don't know if there's a guarantee that she will always be, like, usable, I guess, is the only way I could say. At some point, I feel like this cape is going to give her problems, and it's going to cost her, and this little shoulder pad, no matter how careful I am, at some point, I feel like those shoulders are going to break. This is only the third of this line that I have opened, but I don't hate her, all things that I've said. I just like to point out when there are issues at hand in general. If I have to complain about something, this cape is not quite 100% what I would have loved to have had. On a personal level, the face that I like the most from Storm comes from the comic books, and is more the cat-like face that we saw in earlier X-Men, or like early 80s, late 70s X-Men era. Like, first appearances of Storm. That's what I really, really liked. But, saying that, I think this does feel reminiscent of the original cartoon, so I don't hate that face at all, in all actuality. I think I'm into it. The elbows, I'm not sure why we're still dealing with this at this point in the line. Everybody should have the elbow joints. Everybody. Like, literally every single figure should have the elbow joints. Maybe you guys don't like the elbow joints. I personally think that something is missing if we don't have them. But, Storm. So, that adds Storm to the shelf. And I was lucky, I actually went into my stuff and I found that I had an action effect. And that was a little lightning thing that I think used to be attached to like an Emperor Palpatine or something like that. So I put it on her. It looks pretty cool. I'll probably play around with it to make it work better, but that's what I got. It's actually a pretty solid effect. I think it works pretty well. It's cool, and it'll allow her to look pretty dynamic while she's on the shelf, just literally standing there, reaching up, starting the thundercloud and whatnot. It's pretty cool. Once again, I have things I could complain about. Don't we all? But in the end, I actually do like this Storm. And when I was putting her arm up, that thing I was talking about, it popped off. The shoulder popped off. Luckily, they had enough foresight to know that they're connected by little pegs. I was worried that they were very shoddily glued and that once they finally popped off, that would be the end of it. That is not the case, thankfully. Her cape is secured by like a see-through plastic thing, which is held in place by these like buttons, and these pop onto there, and thankfully that's the way that's designed. Otherwise, that would have been a real problem. I probably would have already lost the shoulder pad. But they knew enough to know that if they were going to do this, it was either going to be glued and completely ruin her movement, kind of like Emma Frost, or two, they were going to have to find a way to make them removable without damaging the overall look of the figure. And they did just that. Thank you for having that much foresight, Marvel. Anyways, added Storm to the shelf. That's awesome. I'm gonna get out of here.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.